Well, oh my goodness, I can't believe she actually said this.
So I wait till the prison guards go to sleep. I turn off the cameras and I take the keys from one of the guards. I finally find Jeffrey's cell. I open the door and the guy looks like he's sleeping, right? I grab one of his orange jumpsuits.
Hillary! No! As that's a fake AI video, which we need to discern after, of course, we're also in the Epstein files. Yep, you heard that correctly. We're going to be talking about that, as well as all of the other releases, and most importantly, non-releases, as there's some weird trying to dunk on people disinformation that we're going to be talking about in this particular video, as well as getting into the kind of weird scientific stuff that's unfolding here, as I really do believe MTG hit the nail on the head describing the kind of weird connections now that are being exposed to Dr. Oz. She's also talking about the fallout from all of this, what's really going on behind the scenes here, as clearly there's some explaining to do, even from Barack Obama. We're going to do another video about his alien comments right after this one. But in this particular video, lots to talk about, specifically when it comes to the Epstein stuff, as we have gotten new, crazy, wild disclosures all throughout the weekend that we're going to be talking about here in this particular video. If you appreciate us fighting for this particular cause of disclosure for 15 plus years, being in independent media for 21 years, subscribe. Click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all the time that you spent with us, because we're in the files. You type in "We Are Change," and we are in document data set 9 from this particular data set, as of course it says groups like Constitution Party, We Are Change, Tyrannical Response Team, and America for a Free Republic are all those Epstein-connected groups and organizations. No, it's from this batch, which you could read here. And they were what looks like quoting a Southern Poverty Law Center study. That's the organization that slandered, libeled, and lied about us and put us on a Patriot hit list along with Alex Jones and Ron Paul back in the day, as they talk about how, these groups are skyrocketing, and then they put us next to all these like hate groups, and I'm like, we don't hate anybody. Like we're the exact opposite. I'm like, stop with the hate, and it's like, oh, you're a hate group. And I'm like, what? No, they just did it because they hated alternative independent media, and it looks like one of the articles where they mentioned us was shared in an email exchange here that you guys could publicly view, but it looks like it's a long type of article here shared with a bunch of people, from a Gregory Brown to an undisclosed recipient, and it was in the Epstein files, and we're in there. Now, I could have done the clickbait thing, watch till the end to see our involvement. I ain't gonna do all that. Here it is. We're in the files. This is what it is. There's still a lot more files that need to be released, including the financial records, including millions of more files, but the Department of Justice just announced, hey, one and done, see you later. Bye-bye. As the Department of Justice, according to Raw Alerts, just announced that they have released all the files and will not be releasing any more files from here. This is what Raw Alerts is saying. Breaking, the Department of Justice has announced that it does not plan to release any additional Epstein files to the public beyond what has already been published. What? There's a lot of people saying, where are the CIA files? As Epstein even did a Freedom of Information Act request on his data sets, and he was even denied files. As, of course, Tucker Carlson came out. We did a video on the main channel talking about how there is a secret shadow government that Tucker Carlson was talking about that he says Epstein was probably a part of. Now, listen, there's a lot of deletions, there's a lot of retractions. The World Rothschild's being retracted. Now, again, there's some duplicitous files, but the DOJ clearly did a very bad job here. They should be following up. There should be more investigations. There's mentions of Trump's name being deleted, which is not good. Like, why are you trying to like make the guy more implicated than he is here? As of course, the DOJ over the weekend released the name of a bunch of people and saying, "Hey guys, look, here's the list of names in the Epstein files," and it's it's a bunch of crazy people's names. Kash Patel's in there. You know, a bunch of other people's names are in there as well. I believe Alex Jones is also in this list of names here. Now, what's the context of these names being released by the DOJ? They didn't give us any. Ben Shapiro's in there. A bunch of people are in there. Granted, they could be mentioned like we were, and just mentioned in an article that people were talking about this. But we don't know. Now, Cat Turd is taking this huge, grandiose list of all of these people, some of them implicated, some of them not, some of them clearly doing things to some of them involved, some are not involved. But Cat Turd says, look, Thomas Massey's in the Epstein's file. Oh, no. And then people are like, this is Cat Turd hustling to dunk on Massey. As, of course, the context here, community noted, all mentions of Massey in the public Epstein files are related to his efforts to publicize the files or news articles mentioning his name. Many people, including Cat Turd, who have posted this, are mentioned in the Epstein files as well. Oh, the comments here were absolutely ridiculous, to say the least here. As of course, my response here was like, it doesn't take a genius to figure out it's because he's exposing it. Hodge twins, bro, you are in the Epstein files. Okay, now before getting into more of the responses here and these like lame efforts to try to dunk and destroy other people, we just really quickly wanted to tell you about wearechange.shop. We're only going to do one ad read really quick, and it's for my products that are literally in my guest room that we sourced that are awesome. I like Liposol Vitamin C. As people are saying, if they have an Erewhon at LAX, you're going to have to sell a kidney for some Liposol Vitamin C packets. Yeah, probably. They're pretty expensive at Erewhon. We made sure to get some of the good quality products on our store. I like vitamin C. Why? If you care about your skincare, it's really great for that. Great for collagen production. If you have some ligament damage, also really interesting studies with vitamin C, and that as well as helping people fight different types of bacteria and illnesses. Again, do your own homework before putting anything into your own body. But a lot of people see vitamin C as a cure for the common cold, a big booster of your immune system, helper of your cardiovascular system as well, especially when it comes to healthy skin, wrinkling, eye health, prevention of other serious illnesses. And it's essential for your body to help make collagen. I really like this stuff because, again, if I'm around sick people, I'm like, okay, I'll just grab some vitamin C. I'll take it with fat. It's Liposol Vitamin C. You got to take it with fat. So first symptoms you see, a lot of people like to take a lot of vitamin C. Do whatever you think is right for you, right? As a lot of people take a lot of vitamin C when it comes to dealing with very serious sicknesses, and a lot of people report it helping them out tremendously. I don't want you getting sick. Lots of people getting sick this year with some weird, really bad stuff out there. I have been around a lot of sick people. I have not been getting sick, probably because of the Liposol Vitamin C. Anyway, check it out. wearechange.shop. By getting it, you support us, and you support this independent media broadcast at the same time. Now, Toad says here, if Epstein sent an email about hurting you and then you're in the Epstein files, this is the most stupidest argument I have ever seen. Go back to your home and never tweet again, quote, old man. And again, the first community note says the author of this post, Cat Turd, is in fact mentioned in these Epstein files as well. So again, you gotta make sure that there's some discernment here, as Jay Dyer kind of gave us a little bit of help here, understanding all of this, saying people looking at the Epstein files are often need to distinguish between, one, an FBI tip, which anyone can claim, and some of it is crazy. Some of it is legit. We don't know what is what because the FBI didn't kind of give us an explanation, whether they investigated it, whether it came from a schizophrenic, whether it was legitimate or not. That would have been helpful. Like, hey, we got this tip. We looked into it. This is the evidence we found that doesn't really purport and support any of these claims, right? Or like, hey, this guy has an alibi here. Does like can we get some kind of like understanding from the FBI here? None of that. Two, a police report, which is just a report, may or may not be true. That's also pretty true as well. An FBI CHS report, which is a confidential human source, may or may not be accurate. An FBI informant claims, again, just informant claims. A little bit more likely, but still doesn't prove it. Quote, Epstein's DMs and emails and photos. Again, those are a little bit more on point. Financial deals, legal filings. Yeah, those are more legit here that I think are absolutely worth looking into. And so far, we haven't gotten a lot of that. We've gotten a lot of redactions. We've gotten a lot of insanity. And we're being told, yeah, guys, that's it. As we know, Epstein was a big manipulator of media. He openly discussed how him and his hacker friends were literally editing Wikipedia pages to make sure that no one knew that he was an S predator, a registered one at that didn't have to follow any of the same type of protocol that all these other predators had to. What the hell? As of course they got rid of the mugshots, the pictures of his mugshot, and then they replaced it with nice pictures of him and him calling him a businessman. And then they blocked the people who were making the changes from making the changes ever again. Reporters who were investigating Epstein were threatened. He used to send verbal threats, communicated those threats very clearly. Sometimes he etched names in bullets and left them outside of the reporters' homes. Sometimes he severed animals' heads and left them outside of reporters' heads, saying, stop talking about Epstein. Better stop investigating this. And many of the reporters did. Now, here in America, people are saying, where's the justice? Where can we get any kind of accountability here? Why aren't we getting any accountability here? It's, of course, in Europe. It looks like there's actually some legitimate movements here, specifically in Europe. We'll get into all those legitimate movements here. Before we do, we wanted to play this clip from MTG that's talking about some of the things that were happening behind the scenes here that I think are important to contextualize when it comes to understanding all of this nonsense.
Here's the interesting part. Okay, there were only 4 Republicans, only 4 of us that signed that discharge petition: Thomas Massie, myself, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. Now, what was happening in the background for months leading up to when we finally got it released is we were getting pressure from the White House. We were getting pressure from the speaker. Do not take your name off this discharge petition. And we're like, why? We're talking about the Epstein files.
Yep, and this is when the government, the DOJ, came out with an unsigned statement saying, hey guys, nothing to see here. Trump was like, it's boring. And then the DOJ letter says, no extortion, no blackmail. He totally took himself out, guys. Trust us. Case closed. Goodbye. We're not talking about this anymore. Then came this kind of congressional process, and shouts out to Congress for actually doing this, saying, no, we're going to legally make you release these files. Trump behind the scenes was working, making sure that these files, as well as the Speaker of the House, were not released.
This is the ultimate promise. This is the ultimate way to provide transparency. This is the ultimate way to take it to the deep state and expose a whole criminal cabal of rich, powerful elites that I believe control everything. And guess what? Come to find out, they do.
They do.
And so we're like, why? So in the meantime, President Trump is calling it Epstein, the whole thing a hoax. Yeah. He's calling it a Democrat hoax. He won't have anything to do with the women. He still refuses to have anything to do with these women.
Which is strange, because if you look at through the emails, Trump was the first one to call the West Palm Beach Police Department and be like, I'm so happy you get him. How can I help? When you look at the victim's lawyer, right, he came out and said the only real powerful person who ever helped me out here was Trump, who came out and helped the victims behind the scenes. So Trump behind the scenes was helping the victims. Now it's a total kind of like change, which is like, what the hell happened here?
So this whole thing is building. The women are saying President Trump did nothing wrong. They still say this. President Trump did nothing wrong.
I know.
Their attorney says Donald Trump's the only one that helped us. And
she's mentioning, I didn't play this video before, but this is the kind of mindset of the average type of Trump supporter who's seeing the poll numbers, who's seeing the kind of visceral reaction from everyone shocked about what's going on here. And they're kind of asking the question, why is Trump doing this? Why is he falling on the sword of all these horrible, evil people? Why is he protecting them when he was previously working against them?
And guess what? That came out in the Epstein files, that he reported Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
So But Donald Trump is fighting it. President Trump is fighting it. President Trump is yelling at me. The White House is putting pressure on Nancy Mace. They take Lauren Boebert in a skiff. I don't even know what they said to her in there. They are attacking Thomas Massie.
Skiff is a place where you get classified information. You can't have any kind of communication devices, and it's a place for secure communication that can't leak out to anyone or can't be spied on. Now, what are we skiffing members of Congress for? Right? As Lauren Boebert has been coming out and saying it's sick and disgusting what these people are doing. That's all we know that she said. She was like walking from the halls of Congress a couple nights ago. She was like, it's sick and disgusting what these people are doing. Yeah.
Nonstop attacking Thomas Massie. And then one day I get a phone call from the president in September, and he is so mad at me. And he's yelling at me, and he's angry at me. And the fact he's like, you're supporting Rand Paul Jr., and he's chewing me out for signing my name on Thomas Massie's discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And I'm trying to tell him, Mr. President, they say you did nothing wrong. Right. This needs to come out. Right. And so we're having this argument. And he tells me on this phone call, he's like, Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
That's it. That's it. I mean, that is it. Obviously, that's it. Because they're all...
Now, who is his friends? Are his friends leveraging their relationship or deals or partnerships with him for that? Like, what kind of deals and and this is the kind of error here, because Trump's implicated because he's implicated in the cover-up. That's not good. That's not what we want.
In here, imagine the...
And that seems like a trap perfectly laid out for him.
Phone calls. It's everyone. It's every single person is on this freaking list. They're all there. Every billionaire, heads of state, Larry Summers, Peter Thiel. They're all in there.
Dr. Oz, which MTG had some interesting things to say. There's like a populist candidate running for political office in Pennsylvania. And then there was like Dr. Oz, who was like, doesn't have the best record in my personal opinion. And I was like, Trump, support this populist person. This populist person was on Timcast. We interviewed her. She seemed great. She seemed really like lovely. She seemed awesome. And Trump went Dr. Oz. And I was like, why? Dr. Oz lost that race when a lot of people believe this woman would have won it because of her kind of populist grassroots base here. But that was kind of ignored for this type of celebrity guy that now is inside of Trump's administration. Now, listen, there should be some legitimate actions taken here in America. They're not. It looks like serious action is being taken in places like in Europe, where people involved with Epstein are actually being investigated. Peter Mandelson's house is being raided because of serious accusations of insider trading, as it looks like the email talks about how there's major moves being made here that he tipped off Epstein about that were happening in Europe. Now we're getting new reports that French police are raiding the Arab World Institute in an Epstein investigation probe. And this is what the people want. They want hindsight. It looks like Norway. We're getting reports from Sherry D. Nova, who's reporting that there were arrests of a former PM because of their ties with Epstein. As right now, we have members of the U.S. Congress warning that the disclosures here could topple the British monarchy. Good. I don't see that as a problem. Congressman Moroccan says that Epstein's scandal, it's not just about an individual, it's talking about the entire British establishment, right? Which is pretty important here, as this is what he had to say here.
To the man formerly known as Prince Andrew, and to Peter Mandelson, with regard to giving evidence to your committee.
Well, Mandelson may bring down the whole government, from what I hear. He just engaged in terrible behavior. I mean, the allegations are very serious that he was working for Gordon Brown and then feeding information about...
Another Bilderberg member, by the way. Lots of ties here to the Bilderberg members, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and all these other kind of secret societies as well here that all cooperate and work together, by the way.
UK possibly buying euros and having Epstein trade on that. I mean, it is a deeply, deeply troubling. And, Epstein's, I saw this interview with Epstein's former girlfriend talking about how someone is a loser if they weren't mentioned in the Epstein files. It's a window into the elite impunity this club. And by the way, I think this is the most vulnerable the British monarchy has ever been. I mean, I heard they were asking the Queen questions about the Epstein class. They ought to ask the King and Queen questions, and maybe this will be the end of the monarchy.
Will it be the end of the monarchy? Well, it's not the first scandal that they were involved in when it came to super predators out there. We're also finding out that the former Norwegian prime minister is also allegedly being criminally charged with gross corruption over his ties with Epstein. Why is Europe taking this so seriously? And here in America, we have Texas politicians running for elected office literally buying up Zorro Ranch, which was never fully investigated. What the hell's going on here? Here in America, we have these highly connected people, right, that are now saying, yeah, I'm going to be running for Texas new comptroller. And I'm also going to be buying the Zorro Ranch. What? Why was the Zorro Ranch never investigated, right? As people are saying, it's still unclear how much this person spent on the money. But like, obviously the people buying the ranch where a lot of the eugenics operations were going on, where a lot of the human trafficking allegations are alleged to have gone on, where some of the bodies are alleged to have been buried according to some of the accusations in some of these emails. That is sus, to say the least here. I mean, it also looks like Peter Attia still looks like he's going to be staying at CBS News, huh? As he apologized for his relationship, as people correlated how his newborn baby was in ICU and his wife was begging him to come back, and that's when allegedly he decided to go hang out with Epstein. There's a UCLA professor that still hasn't resigned or stepped down or been fired, that literally was sending emails tips on how to make newborn babies suck harder. Yeah. What? Can this guy explain himself? Can we get an explanation? Hey, buddy. Hey, what are you doing? Oh. Why are we not getting any kind of public scrutiny here, right? Now, there's a lot of accusations that are pretty sinister, going down the rabbit hole, especially involving the scientific community. All right. There's also a lot of fake emails out there, so be careful what you guys look. There's one emails talking about birth babies. Now, again, we don't know exactly what the hell's going on here. A lot of people believe that there was a black market for babies. Lots of uncorroborated reports of Epstein having children with people, and those children never becoming full-grown children, just kind of going missing after becoming babies. Then there's the Peter Nygaard connection with him impregnating women for the babies so he could use them as bone marrow and stem cells incubators for himself for a life extension type of technology. Then there's Virginia Roberts that came out and said Epstein wanted me to sign a contract with him that would make me have a baby with him, and then the baby would be his. Why did they do that? Again, weird stuff. Lots of life extension type of stuff. As we're left here trying to pick up the pieces here of this kind of elitist food pyramid that is strange, especially with the strange code words here. Now, there was also an email where in 2015 they were discussing about preparing for pandemics right before the 2020 pandemic, right? The conversations that were happening with Bill Gates, happening with a lot of major top organizations and institutions that Bill Gates was heavily invested in. Now, Sire G also says that Epstein was telling a biologist to produce research on teeing children, as scientists were kind of doing whatever Epstein wanted him to do, as there's 6 documents that are connecting Jeffrey Epstein to what Sire G is saying, the American Tea Medicine industrial complex, as he specifically details the emails here of Epstein supporting specific scientists that were going out there and promoting the woke leftist type of ideology, right? Now, this is important because I think this ties into the transhumanism and to the eugenics operation. CRG kind of lays out all of the research, the funding, the surgeries, the conversations about, hey, how can we change the biological biology of a child, and what are the S benefits of it, right? I think you know what I'm saying by S here, right? For 3-year-olds, right? And lots of conversations about that, lots of money moving around surrounding that. As Sayer G says, it gets worse. Epstein wasn't just funding the surgery and commissioning the research, he was managing the topic across his, quote, elite network. And he's talking about the documents where Epstein tells MIT Lab on how to pitch Bill Gates. Epstein emails Obama's former White House attorney, Kathy Rumlier, talking about how the T's are not yet on, quote, Wall Street. What? She has a lot of explaining to do, too, specifically with her very interesting comments about how unethical the White House now is when she just had to step down from Goldman Sachs. At least, people are just voluntarily stepping down. It's just wild that there's not, like, more criminal investigations here, and it's just absolutely wild. As Sayer G, again, continues with the receipts here, continues to highlight how this is something that now RFK Jr. is fighting back against, and how the system was corrupted by Epstein and his money, and the system that they entrusted was essentially Epstein's system. Now, there was also a gynecologist that received a crap ton of money from Epstein. Why are gynecologists receiving so much money, right? As one of the email reads, do you remember the name of the gynecologist you used to send your, quote, victims to? You used to send them to the gyno in New York who once commented that you were keeping him in business single-handedly. What? There's also another email exchange specifically talking about how one woman was given antibiotics because she had a lot of relations with a bunch of other people. And now, of course, we have the Dr. Oz connections here, as we have Occupy Democrats, not the most honest Twitter account, saying Dr. Oz, Trump's Medicare chief, invited the S-Predator to his mansion for a Valentine's Day party. Newly released Justice Department documents revealed that Dr. Mehet Oz is now running the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services under Donald Trump, appears in the Epstein files after inviting Epstein to his Valentine's Day party in 2016. Why would you do that when he's a convicted predator, right? According to the documents, an email from Mehet and Lisa Oz landed in Epstein's inbox on February 1st, 2016, with the subject line, Mehet and Lisa Oz Valentine's Celebration. The invite reportedly linked to a paperless post event at Dr. Oz's 10-bedroom ocean-side mansion in Palm Beach, Florida. That wasn't a one-off. Emails from 2012, 2014 show Oz and his wife circulating in the same social orbit as Epstein long after his 2008 conviction. Now, this is what MTG had to say about Dr. Oz here.
They gave no care to horrors and evil and the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, even to the point, like I read this morning that Dr. Oz invited Epstein to some Valentine's Day party he and his wife were having in 2016. This is Dr. Oz that's currently serving in the Trump administration over Medicare.
People are like, oh no, I like Dr. Oz. That's what the reporter was saying.
Exactly. But that was
oh man.
That was after Epstein had been convicted of pedophilia. So it's like, what? How did these people, and that's the hardest part, These are people that we may love, people that we have cheered for, people that I know I supported. And it's both sides of the aisle.
But they still deserve to explain themselves, right? Can we hear an explanation? We're not getting that. We're getting Howard Lutnick going up there and be like, I can only confirm what's in the emails, and that's it. It's like no additional information, no helping out the general public here, trying to put the pieces together, no due diligence on your part of saying, hey, there's actually more that's not in the emails, just as a show of like, hey, listen, I got to lay it all out. This is what happened. If you're really innocent, that's how you act. If you're not innocent, you cover it up. You act weird. You act sketchy.
Everybody has got to come to the horrible, nasty truth in our faces that they have all come together, and it was about making money. It was about influence. It was about power, and it is being part of the ruling world elites that have affected all of our lives. And if we as a country cannot swallow that down and hold our government accountable, Jillian, it's beyond. I think it's gone already, but it is past gone. If we cannot do that, seriously, if we can't say this, no, we've had it with every single one of you.
Yes,
get the out of here. Like, what are we?
Yeah. Listen. Say what you may about MTG, she's not wrong here, right? And it's not fun to deal with a lot of this stuff, but I think it's important to deal with a lot of this stuff here, as there's clearly also a lot of other implications with the Obamas. We're going to talk about the Obamas here as well here. Lots of people want to make this, a partisan issue, but like clearly there's a lot of people who need to explain themselves. Howard Lutnick is one of them. Alex Jones says it's too late. Alex Jones is like
one that was making me laugh the most.
He needs to resign. He needs to resign now. He needs to be gone because he lied, and he clearly did in a very kind of convincing way. I remember talking about the video last year when I did a whole video just on Howard Lutnick, and Howard Lutnick coming out and saying, I saw him once. He was creepy. I never saw him ever again. Now it looks like through some of the emails disclosure, it is coming out that Les Wexner bought the house that he was neighbors to and gave it to Lutnick. Why? As there's like more serious now concerns and questions about Lutnick, who's a billionaire, about events that happened in 2001, about his connections to Les Wexner, about how much he actually paid for the home, and whether Epstein and Lutnick were working on some big things. I mean, obviously they were in business together, right? That's what the emails also allege now. And Howard Lutnick's like, it's nothing to see here. Ryan Long and Danny Polishuk did their kind of analysis on Howard Lutnick here, who I think is one of the bigger, more kind of implicated players here. There's a lot of other people that are implicated in all of this.
One that was making me laugh the most, though, was Howard Lutnick.
Oh, buddy. He was so, like, high and mighty. Like, I took my wife and I go, we're leaving right now. And as we're walking away, he goes, we are never going back to that house ever again. But you went to his island.
There's probably a tunnel underneath there leading the two properties together.
Yes, okay. So I did, go to his island. But after that, once I was on the island, I looked him in the eyes and said, this is the last time,
I went to the island to tell him I'm never coming back.
I told him I'm never coming back. And
that's what Prince Andrew did. Prince Andrew was questioned about this. He was like, I cut ties with him early. And then they're like, why did you go visit and travel with him? And you're seen here pictured walking with him in New York. He's like, I wanted to end our friendship face to face. What? That's literally what he was like. And on top of that, I don't sweat. So the official Virginia Roberts' story doesn't make sense because I don't sweat. I had a medical condition that made me not sweat. Can you produce medical records? No. I can't produce any medical records. But you had a medical condition that you can't sweat. That was diagnosed. Yes. And then I had to go to Epstein, sleep at his home, stay at his mansion to personally tell him that I no longer will be friends with him because I decided that many years ago. That's when I officially got it. I'm like, what?
They said, but you guys had a company. We did start a cryptocurrency together. Now that you mention it, yes.
I forgot about Epstein coin.
Once the crypto was up and running, I said, you can take me off the board of the directors. You, sir, are a perv. What about this photo of you and him that you went backpacking around Europe together? You were riding a double bicycle holding 2 slices of pizza.
Fair to explain. He goes, he's going to have to start coming out being like, yeah, you know what? I think I have PTSD from 9/11. Like, he's going to get a doctor's note. Like, why I went to Epstein's Island doctor's note, whereas like Howard didn't remember he went to Epstein's Island due to his 9/11 PTSD.
I know that Howard and Epstein did buy a block in Amsterdam together.
Maybe I accidentally was there, and then they find the video. It's like them doing like conga lines and shit together, just like bum 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 ba.
Yeah, what the hell's going on here? Why can't we get any kind of answers here? And I think the first video I did about this with Tucker Carlson's explanation makes sense. And it's something that I've been talking about. This kind of shadowy, secret government that's above our government. And that's probably what's going on here, right? I mean, that's the only way. Now, we have other people reporting that in these Epstein files that a lot of these people talk about how they viewed themselves as like immortal gods. Now, Epstein was also working on creating the first designer baby. He was working on human cloning. Why was he doing all that stuff? Why was he working on teeing the human? Well, he was a part of a lot of weird stuff, especially when it came to longevity. He was working with biohackers like Brian Bishop, and they were taking a lot of funds. They were doing a lot of tests. They had a lot of different laboratories. And again, when we look at the scientific experiments, that's really where we could go down the rabbit hole, right? That's really when we really start to need to like look into all of this in a more severe, serious way here. Because unless we do that, right? Unless we actually have some accountability, there probably are still like human horrors that we can't fathom, that we can't imagine, that we can't even think about how awful and horrible they were, that were conducted here. And if that's the case here, we deserve to know. We should have a Jeffrey Epstein commission, right? I say we appoint Cain Velasquez as the enforcer of this commission, give him immunity. I'm a fan of Cain Velasquez. He just got out of jail for doing something. You know, I just said let's appoint Cain Velasquez here, UFC fighter that just got out of jail, and let's bring out all these scientific nerds together and be like, okay, let's do a full timeline. Everything Epstein was doing, all the companies he started. Let's look at all the financial records. Okay, who did he? What baby was there? Okay, let's find that out. That's how to deal with this issue. Covering up is not a good look here, as of course a lot of those evil scientific experiments, a lot of those evil kind of maneuvers and business deals and shady, wild, crazy, insane, inhuman type of experimentation, it's still being done here. Riri Finder says, if you think these animals just stopped once Epstein got caught, you're a Riri. And I'm like, lots of Riris around. Andrew Tate, tip of the iceberg. Absolutely. And again, there's a lot of fake news spreading around about Pat Bodnik saying the whole stock market's going to collapse. He never said that. Right? Now, Whitney Webb came out and says they don't need an Epstein anymore. They have Palantir. I mean, there still are weird predators out there that still want to do a lot of this weird predatory type of stuff out there, right? There's no denying that, right? Now, the fact that we're seeing some justice here in Europe, I mean, we're also finding out Peter Mandelson has been summoned to testify to Congress over his relationship with Epstein. As of course, there's insider trading emails that are pretty clear and evident, that are clear, big, huge financial crimes. How much of the financial crimes were committed here as well? How much of the system is run on insider trading? How much of the system is just used as a way to scam everyone else out of their wealth, out of their freedom, out of their ability to actually survive, right? So we are seeing finally some movement in Europe. How do we get that movement here in America? With a concerted effort to speak truth to power, where we still have to continue speaking that truth. We cannot forget Lots of people want us to move on. We cannot move on. Lots of really weird stuff that we need to get to the bottom of. As of course, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not just baby longevity type of operation, but also other type of biological forms of warfare that are being instituted by some of these scientists that have clearly, especially with the T movement, been utilized against the general public for the net negative of society, essentially pushing a larger transhumanist, eugenist, globalist type of operation that needs to be exposed more than ever. If you agree, share this video. Thank you so much for purchasing our Liposol Vitamin C. Get healthy. Lots of these eugenicists, globalists want you unhealthy. Don't let them win. Stay healthy. Stay happy. I'm going to be here for you guys watching, subscribing, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/Luke Rudowski 76.